How can we see that the conversion or initiation into another faith was authentic? How do we see such changes in the chart or leave the whole thing altogether? What is the 11th house and 9th house role in all of this? We will see the conjunction of Rahu and Saturn and what role they play. And as usual on this channel, we will have an example to illustrate this. So let's roll the intro and start to investigate. The first thing would be, is the 9th house only about the spirituality? And if we have some practice and if we observe what kind of people are coming to our life when that 9th house is activated, we will see that it's not restricted to some spiritual gurus and some kind of priests or some only dedicated religious people. It will be all those who will try either to educate us to prepare for the 10th house, because 9th house is 12 from the 10th, or those who want to somehow protect us, the well-wishers. All of the senior people who are our well-wishers, the elders, who we also treat as authority, will be seen in the 9th house. After all, if we think about it, if we divide our whole life into 12 areas, it will be like 8%, third something, and therefore it cannot be so narrow thing like only spiritual gurus. It has to be the whole elder, fortune, well-wishers, and people who will play such role. And if you want to restrict it only to spirituality, then see the more inner levels of the chart, like Atmakaraka or Navamsha, or see the 9th house in, for example, Vimshamsa chart, which is the special chart dedicated to your spiritual sadhana or practice. So Dharma is like the work you need to do for liberation, because it's 10th house from the 12th. Just like dream is in the 9th house because of the work of the sleep. Sleep is in the 12th house, and 10th from that is the 9th house. And the Jupiter is the Karaka. It shows that effort. If you are repeating the thing many, many times, it will collect some resources. Just like the fat is stored in our body and the liver is also shown by the Jupiter. Similarly, the whole abilities which is created from that repetition is also seen by the Jupiter. And then in the chart, whatever yoga you have with the Jupiter, it will show which ability can give you dana, or the finances can sustain you. So it's the same. Jupiter is not only showing this pure archetypal type like our priest, but it's all those guides, well-wishers, experts in our lives. It could be even the 9th Lord Jupiter coming, let's say, in the yearly chart. It could be your tax advisor who is taking you out of some problems. This is interesting because it is like stacked layers of work, which is then creating some dense substance, which will be your ability, which will be your skill. But we know how this happens in humans, that there is some first level, you are mastering that level, and then at the end of mastering of that level, the next level is opening up. You thought that you've mastered everything, but then you are exposed, oh, there is something new. There is some new challenge. Like in learning astrology, you think that, oh, I already mastered this, but then you find out, oh, now this channel is opening. Just like you are cleaning the room also. First you are doing some preparatory work, and then you think, oh, it's only this, but then when you are moving the things, suddenly the other parts of the room or some other problems are coming into fore. And then if you are advancing level by level, then your strength of the Jupiter, your skill, your master is higher and higher. Therefore, usually for people who are doing something for a long time, they are mastering those levels, and then this density of your skill of the CD is increasing. But now what to do if we want to see those spiritual guides, and especially those people who will really move our soul or do something, do some inner work. And we have to find those reference points in our charts which are related to those inner parts of ourselves, like Atmakaraka. And then we have to open the spatial plane, which is having those points like Navamsha. So Atmakaraka in the Navamsha is called Karakamsha. And from that point, if we will see the 9th house, the guides in this language, on that, we could say dimension, then we can time and give some prediction about the Diksha or spiritual guru or initiation. And then we can also judge what initiation, what conversion really mattered for that person on a very deep and authentic level. We can also see if psychologists can do this, because in the current age, if we have deleted the religion, we still need that guidance. So we are compensating with many other specialists, like coaches and advisors for our finances, career life, and family relationship. We have various types of therapies and inner development. So that thing which was removed, now the need is still there, so other things are replacing those roles. Also, interestingly, you may see if a person has many initiation, like my brother was many times initiated into the Buddhism faith from different perspectives. There was different, we could say, stages. And then you can see which one was the real deal, right? Similarly, even if you say, I think I had 5 relationships in my life, actually, you could be on the third relationship, third upapada, we say, because of how long it was, how much you were dedicated, how the partner was dedicated. So there are some factors which must be there to mark something in the chart. Similarly with the initiation, if you had many, by the timing and by seeing if that point was touched, you may then investigate which one was really moving something or leading to some personal growth. So let's start with the examples. We have Aaron Hank. He was a super successful baseball player in the Major League of Baseball, and then very high executive, like vice president position. There is one very important point about his religious life also, because he converted from Baptism to Catholicism. And we have threefold marked that Venus was the main responsible for this thing, because it was 25 years of age. This is the Venus time. It was in Dasha Jupiter-Venus. So Antardasha, the subperiod was of Venus. Venus was active, started to being active at the time. The other Dasha, in the Kshema Dasha, it was Venus. So again Venus. And the Narayana Dasha was of Taurus, which is 9th house of religion and spirituality, and loaded by the Venus. So in all of these, we can see that now is the time that some spiritual guru will come into your life. And he had such a friendly priest who they have a lot of friendly conversation, and he was like a guru for him. And he inspired that whole conversion. Now, at the end of the Wikipedia biography, it said that he was not following that practice for a long time. And also at the end of his life, he came back to this baptism thing. So we will also try to see how this can be seen. Was that conversion really serious? Was this touching his soul? How to see that? By the way, if we open his chart, even his Rasi, the main chart, is at the border, but his divorce from the first marriage was in the Mercury Dasha. So Mercury in 6th with the 8th Lord is showing that this is the Virgo ascendant. Also the time of demise was Jupiter-Venus, so related to 7 and 2nd, Maraka. And also the marriage happened in the Dasha of Saturn. 12th Lord is with the Saturn. So if we use all those 3 things, we see that his Rashi chart is Virgo. We open the Navamsha, it can be still Capricorn or the Aquarius. I have decided for Capricorn because time of demise was Jupiter, Saturn in 1 Dasha, Venus, Jupiter in Moon Vimshotri standard. So Saturn is in 8 and Jupiter lords the 12th house for Capricorn ascendant. Also the divorce was in Saturn Antardasha, and Saturn is in the 8th house. We also see that his problems in the married life happened in, or started in Gemini Dasha, which was related to 6th house, and then it was continued in Scorpio Dasha. In Scorpio we have the 6th Lord. So also in that relationship timing, you can also see that 6 or 8 will be very much active. So the Rashi Lagna is Virgo, the Navamsha is the first Navamsha of Capricorn. You will also see that he had many car salons also and restaurants. So the Venus, the 10th Lord in the Navamsha, is in the Moon. So it's a feeding others. Venus, Moon. It's very often repeating in entrepreneurs, people who are having own businesses, especially in such big level or big intensity. Many, I think it was like more than 30 restaurants. So Venus and Moon, and that is in 7th house. We'll see that this Taurus Dasha and the Venus Dasha is very much related to the 9th house. So it also shows that there is some formality, there is some ritual, right? Because the Vimshamsa will show that practice. So there is some practice, there is some ritual. But is it touching the soul? For this, we need to see the ninth from the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha. The Atmakaraka is Saturn in Leo, ninth will be Aries. And we see that Venus is connected to the third from the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha, and is also dispositor of the fifth lord. So it's getting some knowledge, it's getting some instruction. The third is an instruction, but it doesn't touch the ninth from Karakamsha. So we have some problem here, right? There is all those, like in the Matryoshka, all these external layers are there. The person is fulfilling this authority role, because in the D1 we have that. This ritual is happening in the Vimshamsa, but the inner self is not moved. There is no touching. Somehow it didn't create any, we call it the samskara, or the stamp on the soul. Let's approach it now from the different perspective, which will also target the conclusion in similar direction. The ninth lord is Venus, and Venus is in the fifth. Now, it's similar to a case when 12th house is the start of relationship and 7th house the continuation. When 7th lord, however, goes back to the 12th, it's like going from that already developed partnership back to that game powers of dating in the 12th house. That's not good. It's like going backwards. Similarly, we could think that the fifth house is like the bhakti, and from that comes the japa, vrata, the devotion, something more formal. So fifth from fifth, if ninth lord is in the fifth house, I have seen that in many times it is showing the conversion, and especially if it's somehow related to the Rahu. Here is both Rahu and Saturn, right? So that Rahu part will show that conversion, but because it's joined Saturn, the person may leave the faith altogether, may stop, the practice may stop. If we combine those two things, then I think this is what really happened, and I think that those two things, among others, will be responsible for that stoppage of that spiritual practice. We have the timing nicely indicating on all three levels, right? It was Venus, Narayana Dasha of Taurus, and the 25 year of age, which is also Venus. So that ninth lord was activated, but because it's joined Saturn, and because in the Navamsha it's not touching the ninth from the Karakamsha, which is the real guru for the soul, therefore it's not that big thing which will be continued. And this is the benefit and the real value of the Navamsha, which is showing the things which are big and for a long time. Now, if we use the Audaika Dasha, we will see that not only ninth house is activated, the third one will be activating the 11th house where Ketu is placed. Ketu is the third house, which is showing them, again, instruction or the Upadesha. 11th house is also related to the Parampara, right? We have this, many Jnana yogas are created by joining 5th and 11th. So this is definitely there. 11th house is also quite philosophical. It's a natural Aquarius. We call it the sign of Shiva. And we have Ketu there, which was activated exactly at that time of Venus. Now the third one, on the level of Aruda, we see that Ketu is joining the Aruda. So when that was activated in the Audaika Dasha, the person converted from this to the more spiritual identity, because Aruda is showing ourselves in the society. 11th house is also very, very interesting one, because it is loaded by Rahu and Saturn, but the Bhavakaraka, the internal significator, is the Jupiter. So it is working through very nice. It's like a flip, similar to 6th house. If one is crossing the barrier of the greed of the 11th house, the punishment may come. So there are much more deep and spiritual things about the 11th house, but definitely among our guides, the 9th house is our father, 10th is our boss, and the 11th is our spiritual guide. It could be also our coach, our person who are somehow helping us on that inner development. So what we could learn from these examples, if you have 9th lord in the 5th house, then some change of ethics or norm could be quite important in your life. You can trace when it will happen by seeing the natural age, by seeing the Narayana Dasha and Vimshotri, especially the Audaika, would be quite important. Secondly, the 9th lord, if joining Saturn or Rahu, may show such challenges, which may, if we know that, if we are aware of that, the diagnosis alone can be a good subconscious compensation for this a potential challenge, but you can also support yourself with mantras like Om Gurave Namah or other guru mantras. We also learned about the 11th house and how big role it plays in spiritual development. You can also see when it will be activated in the Audaika Dasha. Then those important parts of our life related to meeting our guru may also come to fore. And then you can see the external factors of the 9th house, which will show when we are treating someone like authority in the Rashi and when the ritual is there, the Vimshamsa. And now you can also judge the authenticity by seeing the 9th from Karakamsha. Was that planet activated? If yes, then that initiation was very important and it will move something. It was authentic, it's working. Something will happen. There is some big transformation. If that will be, for example, related to the 12th house, then that initiation or that spiritual person alone can lead to moksha, to mukti, can liberate you, or at least you may do a big advancement in that direction in this life. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you find this interesting and informative. If you do, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see similar videos in the future. If you'd like me to help you to interpret your chart, Rashi, Navamsha, Dashamsa, all the dashas provide the big remedies and help on the matters of health, relationship, and career life, then hit me up with this email and we can schedule the 60 or 90 minutes Zoom consultation for you. If you'd like to see the basic video about the 9th house, then please consider watching this one.